It's July 14th, 1969. In a stadium in Mexico City, the air is electric. El Salvador and Honduras are locked in a tense, scoreless World Cup qualifier. The tension isn't just about soccer. It's about land, migration, and a deep, simmering hatred. And in just a few days, this sporting event will give its name to a real, bloody war. A war that lasted exactly 100 hours. I'm Ibnul Jaif Farabi, and this is Flashpoints, the wars that shaped us. To understand how a soccer match could spark a war, you have to look at the field long before the first whistle. For years, thousands of landless Salvadoran peasants had been migrating across the border into Honduras, seeking a better life. By the late 1960s, over 300,000 Salvadorans were living in Honduras, often on unused land owned by powerful Honduran oligarchs. In Honduras, they were seen as invaders, stealing jobs and resources. In tiny, densely populated El Salvador, they were a vital pressure valve. That pressure exploded in 1969. The Honduran government, bowing to public anger, passed a sweeping land reform law. Its real target was the Salvadoran settlers. They were violently expelled, their homes burned, and they flooded back across the border as refugees. The two nations were now primed for explosion, their media trading vicious propaganda. And then, fatefully, they were drawn against each other in the qualifying rounds for the 1970 World Cup. The first match was in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. Honduras won. A Salvadoran teenage girl, reportedly heartbroken, shot herself. Her funeral was treated as a national event, a martyrdom. The return leg in San Salvador was worse. Honduran fans were attacked, their hotel windows smashed, their national flag burned. El Salvador won. The violence escalated. With the series tied, a single playoff match in neutral Mexico City would decide everything. On June 27, 1969, El Salvador won that playoff, 3-2. In Honduras, Salvadoran immigrants were attacked. Reports, later disputed, of murders and rapes flashed across Salvadoran news. The pressure cooker blew. On July 14, 1969, the Salvadoran Air Force launched bombing raids against Honduran targets. The soccer war had begun. For 4 days, the two poorly equipped armies clashed. Salvadoran troops made initial gains, pushing into Honduran territory. But logistically, they couldn't sustain it. The Honduran Air Force, with its legendary pilot, Captain Fernando Soto, who scored the only air-to-air kills of the war, struck back. The conflict was a brutal, chaotic stalemate. The Organization of American States negotiated a ceasefire. It took effect on July 18th. 100 hours of fighting had left roughly 3,000 people dead, most of them civilians caught in the violence. The war officially ended, but its scars were permanent. A peace treaty wasn't signed for over a decade. The real, tragic irony is that the war solved nothing for El Salvador. The land pressure valve was now completely shut. The displaced peasants had nowhere to go, fueling social unrest that would later contribute to the country's devastating civil war. I think about this often, as someone who grew up with football fever in Bangladesh. We know how sports can feel like life and death, but the soccer war is the ultimate cautionary tale. It shows us how easily symbols can become weapons. The match wasn't the cause, it was the final, perfect spark. It gave a narrative, a winner and a loser, to a conflict that was really about economic despair and political failure. It allowed two governments to channel their people's very real frustrations onto a simple, nationalistic story. It's a stark reminder that when we're cheering for our team, we should always know what the game is really being used to represent. The war lasted 100 hours, but its roots were decades deep, and its consequences lasted for generations. Sometimes, the flashpoint isn't a bullet or a border. Sometimes, it's a ball. For Flashpoints, I'm Ibnul Jaif Farabi. This is a production of Light Not Studios. Find our archive and more at https://www.lightnotstudios.com.